Hi, I'm Tony Vlahos for ExecuNet, and I want you to imagine for a moment what your life would be like if your very own mom was the CEO of a global company. She could provide you all kinds of really excellent advice, right? Stuff that would help you propel your career and overcome the typical stumbling blocks that hold people back. Well, that's the idea behind this awesome new book called Mom MBA, Essential Business Advice from One Generation to the Next. And its author is Karyn Schoenbart, who is the CEO of NPD Group, a global provider of information and advisory services to many of the world's leading brands. Karyn was named one of the top 25 most influential women of the mid-market by the CEO Connection, and I have the pleasure of talking to her today. Hi, Karyn. How are you?
Hey, Tony. I'm great. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. And this is an awesome book. I read it, and I could hear my mom's voice talking to me, which probably scared me a little bit, but I got so much great insight from it that I was able to brush that aside and just focus on the great wisdom contained in these pages. So thank you for this book.
My pleasure.
So I have to ask you, what was the inspiration for the book? And I guess more important, who did you want to touch and change by writing the book?
Well, Tony, when my daughter first started working, she realized that she had all of this knowledge that her peers didn't have. And she kind of joked that she had gotten a mom BA because by growing up with me, she had a built-in mentor. And so the inspiration for writing Mom BA was to be able to provide that same kind of competitive advantage through my 30 years of business experience to the readers.
Terrific.
And whether you're starting out, like Danielle was, or even an experienced professional who's trying to get to the next level, there's tips in the book for everyone.
Awesome. So let's turn to some of the tips in the book. You write that building relationships can help a career through good times and bad times. Would you elaborate on this and hopefully provide me some examples?
Sure. Well, again, in the book, it's all about your whole career journey. And part of the career journey is building relationships along the way. One of the things I talk about is how it's really important every time you have a positive interaction with someone, it's like putting money in the bank. So that then if there's ever a difficult situation, you have something to withdraw. Mm-hmm. So one small example is to reach out to people on a Friday. Because if you reach out to them on a Friday, you can say, hey, Tony, what are you doing this weekend? And it takes the relationship to a different level than just business, business, business. Mm-hmm. And when you have those kind of relationships with people, you can get through a lot together.
Absolutely. That's great advice. What else? I mean, you've got a career that spans, is it 30 years? It's extraordinary. So what other sort of career lessons have you learned along the way that you could share with our viewers today?
Oh, there's so many, Tony. The purpose of Mom BA was really an insider's guide to everything in your career and your life. And so the questions people ask if they don't have anyone to turn to. So one that people ask all the time is, how do I deal with an angry person? How do I deal with a difficult situation? And there, the most important thing to remember is that they will not likely remember what the problem was, but how you handled it. And so you always want to show up and be professional. And remember that it's not the incident, it's how you handled it.
Sure.
So
now please.
Another example is just if you're dealing with somebody angry, you've got to let them vent. I talk about it in Mom BA as like a glass filled with water. And someone can't listen to a word you have to say until they can fill out some of that water, and then they can hear. So if you're dealing with someone angry, the most important thing to do is just listen, 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 and make sure they feel heard.
Now, a lot of us have worked with difficult people or encountered otherwise less than difficult people in tough situations. And often that person happens to be our boss. What advice do you have for dealing with a, let's say, difficult boss? Not terrible, but pretty darn difficult boss.
Well, first of all, Tony, one of the things is someone who you think is a bad boss might actually not be as bad a boss as you think in looking back on a long career. You can learn as much from a bad boss as a good one because throughout your career journey, you want to get notches on your belt and learn how to deal with these different experiences. So in dealing with a difficult boss, it's similar to the other tips about building relationships. You want to be able to put money in the bank, establish a personal relationship, get to know them as a whole person, not just a business relationship. And remember that in a long career, as we talk about in Mom BA, this is just a blip on the screen if you have a difficult boss, and it helps you decide what kind of boss you want to be someday.
Absolutely. Let's turn to another topic that you cover in the book, which is inspiring your team. I loved that chapter. Can you riff on some of the learnings from that section of the book? How do you inspire a team as a CEO?
Well, it starts with having a vision. People need to know where you're going, and then they need to know how they fit in. Everyone wants to know what's in it for me. So to inspire people, and you don't need a title to be a leader. You don't have to be a CEO to be a leader. Everyone can be a leader in their own position. You have to draw a vision and let others know why it matters and how they fit in. And then they'll want to be a part of it.
Because leaders create followers, right? They don't have just employees, correct?
Yeah, leaders inspire, they don't direct. Mm-hmm. Leaders involve, they don't mandate. They make people feel a part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm flipping through your book and I've earmarked a lot of the pages, so I've landed on one that I wanted to talk to you about, which is skilling up, learning what you need to succeed. Could you tell me and tell our viewers, and of course they are mostly senior level people, why it's remained important for you to continue to skill up and learn new things? I guess it's a pretty foundational question, but why do you feel you need to keep learning as the CEO of a company?
Oh my goodness, if you don't keep learning, then you'll die. And the world is changing every single day. And I think there's a great concept out there on reverse mentoring, because many of us who are CEOs are baby boomers, and we can learn so much from the Gen X and the Gen Z about technology, about social media, about the new ways that people interact, that I think it's a fabulous time to be open to learning new things, because there's so much to learn every day. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, your company won't succeed, and you certainly won't succeed as a leader.
Absolutely. How do you like to learn? Is it structured learning? Is it on the job interacting with millennials and other coworkers, or fill in the blanks for me? What's the best way for you to learn?
Oh, great question, Tony. I'm an experiential learner, and I think that being able to be a part of things, interacting with people, and then, of course, reading great books.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, like this one. Where I've learned so much reading this one, without doubt. And let's come back to the book and also, I guess, your life's journey so far. And my next question has to do with work-life balance. First, does it still exist? And secondly, if it does, how do you achieve that in today's day and age?
You know, that's a great question, and one that I get asked very often. And I think it starts with deciding what having it all means for you. I work really, really hard, but I also have a life. And to me, that was really important. Once you decide what having it all means to you, then you can prioritize, and you've just got to let some things go. You can't do everything, but once you know what's important to you, for me, it was having a family, it was having a career, and then everything else kind of fell by the wayside, but I focused on those. And I advise people to try to compartmentalize. When I'm at work, I'm at work. But when I'm home, I really try to be home. I try to be, as I say in Mom BA, present in my present.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it sounds like that's something you've learned as you've moved forward and advanced in your career. Are there things you wish you had known earlier that would have not changed your entire trajectory, but would have made your work and your life, I guess, a little simpler or better in any way? Is there something you wish you had known 20, 30 years ago that you said, what is that thing?
Well, you know, I did not have a mentor, but I do see my daughter, who had me growing up, and she was the motivation for writing Mom BA. And I see how far and how fast she's been able to go, because she had the 30 years of experience that I have kind of accelerated. And so she didn't have to go through all the things that I had to go through as slowly as I had to go through them to learn them. And that's the point here, is to try to give other people that same competitive advantage through my experiences in trial and tribulation throughout the 30-plus years that I've been doing this.
So you've written this wonderful book. You are at the helm of a leading company. I know you're on the speaker circuit a whole lot. What is on the horizon for Karyn? What else would you like to accomplish that you haven't really even begun to do yet?
You know, Tony, I don't know. Life is an adventure, and I just look forward. I did not have a big career plan. I worked hard. I got promoted. I gave it my all. And so I just look forward to every day and see what adventure will come next.
That's a great philosophy. Well, Karyn, thank you for the time we've spent together. Again, you guys check out this book, Mom BA, Essential Business Advice from One Generation to the Next. I hope you'll enjoy it. I sure did. Karyn, thank you so much for sharing your time and your insight, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. That would be really great.
Tony, thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you, Karyn. Bye-bye.